This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the best online retailer for Magic the Gathering singles and sealed product. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 source for Magic the Gathering news and content.
Hey guys, Marshall here from Limited Resources, doing another draft with you here on GatheringMagic.com, and we've got a little Vintage Masters lined up, and a lot of decent stuff in this pack. I wouldn't call it amazing. There's a Necro, which you can use. I mean, we can go Necro Death Grasp, but I don't think I really like picking up Necro first here. I don't really know that I like it that much at all. I like Grizzly Fate or maybe like a Soltari Trooper for the beatdown, something along those lines. Kind of makes me happier. Let's try Grizzly Fate. I haven't got a chance to play with this a lot, but whenever I have, it's very good. All right, and I think we can go right into an Arrogant Wurm here. Fast Bond is interesting. You can read it. You can play any number of land into your turns. Whenever you play land, if it wasn't the first land you played this turn, Fast Bond deals 1 damage to you. So it basically lets you dump every land in your hand onto the battlefield on turn 1 if you happen to have Fast Bond in your hand. The downside to it is that it takes an entire card for you to do this, which is not great. Remember, it doesn't add any lands to your hand. It just gives you the ability to play the ones that you already have. And the other downside, of course, is that if you draw it on turn 4 or later or so, it already kind of just does nothing. And I don't love that. So I'm going to take the Arrogant Wurm and see if we can't get a little, maybe a little discarding happening here. What does this one do? Oh yeah, you can ping things with it. This is not a great pack overall. And I think I'm going to take either the Elvish Aberration or actually the Death Reap Ritual even. I'm going to go for the Death Reap Ritual. In some matchups, that card can be really good. And who knows where we're going with this anyway. Here's the Thalakos Drifters, which I think we're supposed to pick up here. We need discard outlets for the Arrogant Wurm and even for the Grizzly Fate in some levels. So let's take it. And nothing really much here. These packs have been a little weak since we picked. I'm going to take Choking Tethers here over Brindle Shoat. Okay, well, here's a Circular Logic, and we'll pick that up. I like Chimeric Idol here. I like Simian Grunts, but let's try to stick on plan here. Now, this is going to put some pressure on us, though, to pick up Aquamoebas and, if we're lucky, some Mongrels in the later part of this pack. And, of course, in the next 2 packs, we're not really going to be able to have the luxury of not taking those cheap 2-mana discard outlets that are free. Ding. What does this do? Shroud. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Gigapede is in your graveyard, you may discard a card. If you do, oh, that's pretty sweet too. We have to take Aquamoeba, but Gigapede seems kind of cool. Repel, Sudden Strength, Jungle Worm, Nature's Lore, Tangle. Yeah, we just take a Repel. I don't love picking up yet another 4-drop here, but that is the pick. Probably Simian Grunts from the pack that we opened here. Death Grasp did come back, which I think is interesting. But I think we just want the Grunts here. Elephant Guide's pretty decent, but we'll just take the Grunts. Grunts are a bit better against aggressive decks, and they can give us fits. And so I want to make sure we have the ability to deal with those. I think I'm going to put the Ritual on the board here unless we get some fixing back on the other end or something along those ends. There was the duel, the black-green duel in the same pack, so we might be able to get that back if we're lucky. I'd definitely like that. But for now, I'm just happy to see this Aquamoeba, to be honest. That was the big pickup for us out of this pack, because we need a few more of those still. But I kind of like where we're going here. Arrogant Wurm, Grizzly Fate. We've got some Disruption. We've got 2 different discard outlets currently, one of them being much better than the other. Fast Bond Wheels. But yeah, that's why it's just not that great. So we'll just take Obsessive Search here, I think. I like these. They're very low impact. You know, they let you keep some openers that you might not normally be able to keep because you can kind of just cycle through your deck to find lands. They work for value with Thalakos Drifters, sometimes with Aquamoeba. All right, there's a Pine Barrens. Ooh, Elvish Aberration comes back too, though. That actually might just be a better pickup. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take the Pine Barrens here. I think we can pick up one of those if we need it. And I'll take the Coliseum here too. So there's a splash right there for you. Death Reap Ritual is potentially in the deck. Maybe we don't start it. Maybe we do. Depends on how the rest of our deck shapes out. Take the Bodyguard here. And it also depends on what our matchups are. So like we can sideboard it in matchups where we think our stuff's going to be dying a lot. I'll take a Provoke, but I don't think we're going to play it. And we're not going to play Shelter. All right, so not an amazing pack for us, as you can see, but not bad either. We've got 9 playables here, and they're all decent. Ooh, Brago. What else do we have, though? Deep Analysis, that's really good. Tusker's quite good, too. But we did open a Brago. There's also an FTK, which we could consider splashing here as well. We've already got a Grand Coliseum. And while the Pine Barrens doesn't do it, we can keep our eye open for other potential splashes here. So there's a whole lot going on. I think we either want to take a because so the other thing is we can try to splash Brago, which we also don't have any fixing for currently. We also don't really have a way to abuse him currently. So I think that we probably, if we're going to splash one, we probably want FTK here. And then we have to hope to get back either Deep Analysis or Crows and Tusker. Worst case, we get back Obsessive Search. But I would love to have one of these two back instead. But yeah, let's take the Flametongue Kavu here. Oh, come on. Okay, well, we're loading back in, but pretty sure we missed that pick. Hopefully it registered my click on the FTK. And it did not. Don't actually know what we got out of that pack. Oh, probably this. Great. And we also just got picked this too. So we just missed the first 2 picks of that pack. I'm not one of these people that hates the new client as much as some do. You guys have seen that I've been using it in the lead up to the big switchover, which happened this week. But man, when it starts booting you out when you're trying to make important picks, it is very frustrating. And it looks like we've come back just in time to have nothing. This is obviously garbage. So I guess I just take the Lonely Sandbar here. Lonely indeed. All right, well, that's a little better. There's an Aquamoeba here, though, too. I really love Aether Mutation. I think it does a lot of work against the decks that you need to do things against. But, man, passing an Aquamoeba feels pretty risky here. I guess we're not really abusing it yet anyway. We're sort of planning to abuse it. So I'm just going to take Aether Mutation and kind of see where that puts us. I think I like Skywing Aven here. We could use a few more 3s, and it is a discard outlet. All right, we'll take a Rootwalla. Moving up a little bit here at least. And we get a little bricked off here. I don't think we want this smokestack for the deck. We're not really able to outpace people as far as permanents go. So we probably want the Elephant Guide here, I guess. What does this one do? You can put green creatures from your hand into play. Kind of interesting. Pretty slow, though. I mean, you get to untap on turn 5. You could just cast this. I mean, sure, it's free, which isn't too bad, but it's not great. I'm going to take this Dreampod Druid. Card's just sort of generally powerful. All right, well, we got the Obsessive Search, but also Brago came back, and I'm going to take him this time. Obviously, we would have rather had that Flametongue Kavu to start working with, but you know, if failing that, at least we wield the other card we were considering splashing. So Lonely Sandbar or Fyndhorn Elves. This deck's starting to look like it wants elves here, I think. I like Lonely Sandbar a lot, but feels like an elves deck here. Tangle for the board. Yeah, this third pack is going to have to go magnificently, or else we are going to be bonked out of this particular event. And yeah, missing those first 2 picks was just devastating. It's hard to normally, I mean, you'll hear me talk about how, you know, any one pick isn't necessarily going to make or break your draft. And that is true. But I'm also usually speaking in the context of you making the pick between 2 decent cards or maybe even 2 good cards for your deck, and not necessarily, I mean, obviously you have to try to decide which one's better. That's obvious, but that's nice. That'll help. But I also feel like, you know, like you're splitting hairs, right? Like this one is 80% as good as that one. If I take the 80% card, it's not like I've punted the draft. It's just maybe I haven't maximized my value. But when you have to just goof grab, you know, a Noble Templar and whatever, the Deathblade Elite or something, instead of cards that are not only playable, but actually just like the centerpiece cards for your deck, it can make a huge difference. So it looks like we're going to be okay on playables, but not super strong. Like, we really would love another Arrogant Wurm. That would be fantastic for this deck. This is a nice sideboard card to have too. But yeah, this deck isn't awful. I think we can make something work here. All right, there's a Parallax Wave. Here's another Flametongue Kavu and another Crozen Tusker. So this pack's quite strong. Parallax Wave is really powerful. It's really, really powerful, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to be the ones to abuse it because double white is just asking a lot here. Flametongue Kavu, though, probably still the pick. Again, we'd love to see that Tusker come back, but it's just very unlikely to actually happen. But the Tusker can help us cast the Kavu. But there's really not much for our deck here. A Skywing Aven is just not a big deal. So I'm going to take the Kavu and see if we can't find a way to splash that thing. All right, well, there's a Tusker. There's also a Factor Fiction, though, which is, you know, kind of rawly more powerful than really anything here. And I think I'm going to take the Factor Fiction. If we get one of these Tuskers or this Yavimaya Elder back, I'll be really happy because it'll unlock the keys to this guy. All right, here's Deep Analysis or Basking Rootwalla, and I think we just need a Basking Rootwalla here. I'm a little sad because I do want Deep Analysis, but we just used a whole pick on a card draw spell, and also we have not. We're getting a little bit full at 4, where we want to bring our curve down a bit here, if possible. So yeah, I'm going to put Brago on the board for now. Flametongue Kavu is way, way, way better than Brago. If we could play them together, that would be pretty sweet. But that unfortunately is going to be a double splash and not realistic for this deck. Okay, well, we got there. I just asked for it, and we got it. Another Arrogant Wurm. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy to see that. And even though it's another 4-drop, I'm really happy to see this too. I'm going to pick up this Blastoderm here. Stack up our 4s perhaps a little bit much, but I mean, look, these go over here. This is a great 5-drop. We have an Elephant Guide for our Dreampod Druid, but I think you can just run Dreampod Druid anyway and not sweat it too badly. Maybe one more Aquamoeba or cheap discard outlet would be excellent. Power Sink. Here's another Pine Barrens for this Death Reap ritual. So that's something we could take, or I could take like a Counterspell. I feel like I'm not quite interacting with my opponent as much as I'd like to. So a Power Sink or a Counterspell makes some sense here, I think. Power Sink may just be better. No, I think I can take Counterspell here. All right, there it is. Aquamoeba. Got there. Nice. So we've picked up a couple of key cards here in the third pack. We got another Arrogant Wurm and another Aquamoeba. And with triple Aquamoeba plus a Skywing Aven and Thalakos Drifters, I think we're pretty set up on discard outlets here. One card that I'd like to see back but don't expect to, all right, well, this is good too, is one of those Crozen Tuskers. The problem is it's such a good value card for any green deck that it's just really tough to pass. We just happened to see them so early in the draft that they were up against things that were more powerful. But one of those would be fantastic, just to get the red mana for Flametongue Kavu. Otherwise, we're going to have to basically throw like one random mountain in the deck and then rely on Grand Coliseum. All right, there's a Skywing Aven. Why are you? Oh, right, because I moved these over. A lot of Aquamoebas. A lot of free Basking Rootwallas here. Maybe we could target this with it. Okay, here's a Repel. Again, starting to feel a little bit of pressure as far as the whole 4-drop situation goes here, but Repel is going to be one of our better cards. I mean, and plus this is a little bit misleading as well, so that's probably more accurate. Still a little fat at 4 for my liking, but these are some quality cards. Maybe the Mana Prism. We do have a fairly high curve, and it does let us get mana for Flametongue Kavu going. Could also just take Armor of Thorns, and we can use that to throw on the Dreampod Druid. I'll take the Prism. I don't think we're going to run it, though. So we've got 26. We need to make 3 cuts here, basically. I don't think that should be too difficult. We've got some mediocre stuff here for sure. I think we can cut Simian Grunts, bring it in against aggro decks maybe. Elephant Guide is really not that great here. I mean, we have one chance to go off with Dreampod Druid, but what else are we really throwing this Elephant Guide on that we're super excited about? Maybe on a Rootwalla? I mean, that is kind of sweet, but it does feel a little bit out of place, though, man, it does do some work here. I think maybe we cut 1 Repel. And then probably the Guide. Choking Tethers can be a 2. I could also just cut Flametongue Kavu and just say, screw it. That card is so good, and we've already got a Grand Coliseum, so we have basically a free red source here that we can use to cast the Flametongue Kavu. So basically we're asking ourselves to put 1 mountain in. It's probably worth it for how powerful this card is. It's just that good. So let's leave that in. Arrogant Wurms, Grizzly Fates, Aether Mutations are all in. Aquamoeba, we got the Factor Fiction. Obsessive Search could probably go. That or Elephant Guide. I guess we'll cut the Guide. All right, so let's add some lands here. Well, one of these. And let's see what this puts us here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green sources, which looks pretty good. And then 2 red, we know that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 blue sources, which looks a little light. I'd like to have 9. But we've got 1 more land slot to go. So I think we just give it to an island here. I agree, Magic Online. I agree with you. All right. So I think this is our deck. Yeah, I think this is our deck. All right, let's submit and let's see what this deck can do. We've definitely got some wiggle room here. We can splash Death Reap Ritual out of the board pretty easily thanks to Pine Barrens and Grand Coliseum. And if we do find a deck that Flametongue Kavu is not amazing against or even not that good against, we can pull it. But I haven't seen that deck yet. All right, let's see what this thing does.